Even though it happened a few years ago, I remember it like it was yesterday. My name is Jake, and this is the story of a sleepover that turned into one of the most terrifying nights of my life. It was the middle of summer, and my friend Alex and I had planned a sleepover. We were close friends, always hanging out whenever we got the chance. I was 15 and he was 16 at the time. I was outside shooting hoops when Alex called, asking if I wanted to come over since his parents were away for the weekend. I got the green light from my parents and packed my stuff for the night. Alex's house was just a 10-minute walk from mine. As I walked, everything was calm and quiet until I noticed a man at the end of the road. He was tall, around 6'4", wearing a green jacket and jeans. He started walking towards me, crossing to my side of the street. Alarm bells went off in my head, but I tried to stay calm. When he got closer, he asked where I was headed. I told him I was going to a friend's house, and he just nodded and walked away. It was strange, but I shrugged it off and continued to Alex's place. When I got there, Alex was waiting on the couch. We played video games for hours until we got hungry. Alex decided to order a pizza. Just as he picked up the phone, it started ringing. He thought it was his parents, but when he answered, all we heard was heavy breathing on the other end. It was creepy, but Alex hung up and ordered the pizza anyway. The pizza arrived and we decided to watch a movie while we ate. About 30 minutes into the movie, the phone rang again. This time, the same eerie breathing filled the line. Alex, annoyed, told the person to stop or he'd call the police. Then the person on the other end said something that sent chills down our spines. They recited Alex's home address. "Look outside your living room window," they said. We looked, and there, in the middle of the front lawn, stood a man. We couldn't make out his features because of the darkness, but it was definitely him. Alex hung up and stared at the figure. Suddenly, the man sprinted towards the front door and started slamming his body against it. We bolted upstairs and locked ourselves in his parents' bedroom. Alex called the police, who said they'd be there in 5 minutes. After what felt like an eternity, the man stopped. Minutes later, the police arrived and searched the neighborhood but found nothing. We tried to sleep but were woken up around 3 a.m. by a knock at the door. Peering through the window, we saw the same man from before. We ran back upstairs and called the police again. This time, the man broke a window and entered the house. We hid in the bathroom, hearing him move around downstairs. The police arrived just in time, catching him in the act. My heart skipped a beat when I realized it was the same man I had seen on my way to Alex's house. The police took him away, and we didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I left early the next morning, not wanting to talk about what happened. Later that day, Alex's parents called mine, accusing me of breaking the window. I told my mom the whole story, and she believed me. That was the last time I went to Alex's house, but we continued having sleepovers at my place. I still wonder why that man targeted us. How did he follow me to Alex's house? Why did he decide to terrorize us that night? I'll never forget the night that turned my childhood sleepover into a nightmare. It was summer, and I was around 9 years old. My friend Adam invited me to his birthday party, which included a sleepover at his house. The party was on a Friday after school, and there were just 5 or 6 of us. I knew most of the kids, though a couple were strangers to me. After school, my mom dropped me off at Adam's house. The afternoon was a blur of pizza, ice cream, and games. As the night settled in, we headed to Adam's basement to watch a movie. His basement was partially underground with small windows near the ceiling, making it a cozy but slightly eerie place for a group of kids. We dimmed the lights, and the movie began. About halfway through, I had a strange urge to glance at one of the windows behind us. That's when I saw him. A man tall and imposing was staring in. I nudged the kid next to me, and he looked back. We both froze, our eyes locked on the stranger. Suddenly, the kid stood up and pointed, causing everyone to turn and see the man. Panic erupted. We scrambled upstairs, waking Adam's parents. By the time they came down, the man was gone. Adam's dad grabbed a flashlight and checked outside but found nothing. We were shaken, but Adam's parents tried to reassure us, offering to call our parents if anyone wanted to go home. No one did. We figured the man was just some weirdo who wouldn't come back, especially with Adam's dad on alert. We returned to the basement and resumed the movie. Though our eyes frequently darted to the window, the man didn't reappear, and gradually we began to relax. As the movie ended, exhaustion took over, and we settled into our sleeping bags. I was on the floor and quickly fell asleep. Sometime later I woke up, it was still dark and the house was silent. For a moment I thought about going back to sleep, but then I saw him again. The man was back, staring through the same window. My heart raced. I crawled over to Darian, a kid sleeping nearby, and pointed at the window. He saw the man and bolted for the stairs with me right behind him. We pounded on Adam's parents' bedroom door, waking him up. Once again, the man vanished before they could see him. This time, they called the police. The officers arrived quickly but found no trace of the man. We were all too scared to sleep, and we huddled together until dawn. Our parents were called early that morning and we went home. I never slept over at Adam's house again, but I often wondered about the man. Who was he, and why did he come back? The fear from that night lingered for a long time. When I was a kid, my best friend's name was Will. We had countless sleepovers full of movies, video games, and late night snacks. But one night, when we were both 11, our usual fun turned into a nightmarish memory that haunts me to this day. It was summer, and we didn't have school the next day. I went over to Will's house, which was just a few miles from mine. His house had a large backyard that bordered a dense patch of woods. We spent the evening playing video games in his room, staying up late as usual. Around 1 a.m., the room got stuffy, so Will decided to open the window to let in the cool night air. As he pushed the window open, he suddenly paused and muttered. "That's weird." I asked what he saw, and he said he thought he saw someone in the backyard. Curious and a bit uneasy, I joined him at the window, but saw nothing but shadows cast by the trees. Will insisted he had seen a man, but now, whoever it was had disappeared into the darkness. Despite the creepiness, we tried to brush it off. However, a sense of adventure and perhaps a bit of stupidity led us to decide to check it out. We crept downstairs and slipped out through the garage, the night air filled with the sound of rustling leaves and distant night sounds. At first, everything seemed fine. The backyard was empty, and we began to relax. We even found a football we'd lost earlier and started tossing it around, our fear fading. But then we heard a noise from near the house. We turned to see a man emerging from behind a bush, walking along the side of the house. He moved with purpose, and we didn't know if he had seen us or not. Fear gripped us as we realized how far we were from the house. We had no choice but to make a run for it. We'll count it to 3, and we sprinted back toward the garage door. My heart pounded as I avoided looking in the man's direction, focusing only on the door ahead. We burst into the garage, slammed the door shut, and locked it. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. Just moments later, the doorknob began to turn. Someone was trying to get in. We ran into the house, locking the door behind us, and Will woke his parents. Minutes later, the police were on their way, and Will and I hid under his bed, the adrenaline making every second feel like an eternity. The police arrived quickly and searched the property, but found no trace of the man. He had vanished as mysteriously as he had appeared. We tried to give the police as much information as we could, but we had only seen the man from a distance and in the dark. There were no significant details we could provide. After the police left, we finally fell into a restless sleep, hoping the nightmare was over. Thankfully, the man never returned. I visited Will's house many times after that night, but nothing like that ever happened again. Yet the memory lingers, a reminder of the terrifying encounter with the man in the backyard.